I've been a doctor for 10 years in total, and I just attended my first coroner's inquest a few weeks ago. The whole experience was quite alien to me, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. So what is an inquest? The whole point of an inquest is purely to determine the cause of someone's death. The coroner's court is a public hearing, so that means everyone can attend. It's usually the patient's family raised concerns, or the clinical team that looked after the patient raised any concerns and referred to the coroner. And sometimes the coroner will decide to hold an inquest. Other times they may just ask the healthcare worker to provide a written statement, and that could be all that's needed. So what's the process leading up to the court date? I actually treated this patient over a year ago, and they asked me to write a statement 10 months after that. There was a lot of back and forth communications with our legal department of the health board, and I ended up writing and submitting 3 statements in total. And a few days leading up to the court day, I had a meeting with the legal representative of the health board. It was only a quick call via Zoom. Actually, it wasn't that quick. It lasted about an hour and a half because we figured out we had new evidence that we could add to our presentation, so it just prolonged the discussion a little bit. In that same meeting, we went through the 3 statements I had submitted, we clarified certain details, and the legal representative also prepared me for questions that the coroner may ask me on the day of the court. Morning, and it's court day today. I'm feeling a bit nervous, so I brought my husband with me. Unfortunately, we couldn't film in court, so here's a video of my husband playing with this cute dog that greeted us when we got out of court. So, court is over. I'm back in my car. It actually went so much better than I thought. So we started today with a meeting with the legal representative of the health board. So that's a solicitor that basically they're hired to protect the health board. So we had a meeting with him and the other witness, who happens to be my boss in work. We were just gathering all our information, all our evidence that we were gonna present in court to the coroner, and then just sort of like be aware of what each other's gonna say. And then we went to the court venue together. We got sat down quite quickly, and it was actually quite a small room, so it wasn't like, it's not like a massive court that you see on TV or in movies. So quite an intimate setting. And the coroner came in, and he kind of just explained that the purpose of this inquest is quite factual. It's just to figure out how the patient died, what happened, and the circumstances around their death, rather than blaming, pointing fingers. Oh no, you've switched off the lights. Sorry, light is back on. So it's all quite a non-judgmental setting. And then the coroner then reads statements from different witnesses. Not every witness was summoned to court. It was only me and my boss. Like I said before, he would read out statements for the witnesses who didn't have to attend court. For us, he didn't have to read the statements because both of us have submitted more than 1 statement throughout the year. So for us, it was more of an oral statement where we'll have to answer questions in person. He had a particular order of witnesses he wanted to hear from. I was the first one to go up, and before I gave my statement, I had to swear an oath just to promise that I will be honest. And then he started with the questions. His questions were actually very neutral. They weren't leading questions to trick you into answering it a certain way, which is really reassuring. At the start of it, my voice was sort of going funny from the nerves. That quickly settled because I was just so focused on trying to answer the questions, listen to the questions correctly, and say the appropriate things. So I just didn't have the mental capacity to actually carry on being like anxious and nervous in a way. I had all my evidence in front of me, so then I can refer back to certain points that I was presenting. It wasn't like you have to just present and say things out of nowhere. The coroner has questions for you, and then you answer the questions accordingly and with the evidence in front of you that you can refer to. So it's not a memory test. When they were asking me questions that I didn't have an answer to, I could freely say that I don't know, and you wouldn't be criticized for. So that was all very reassuring. Once I was discharged by the coroner, I can go back to my seat, and then the court carries on. You'll get statements from other witnesses, either remotely or in person. The whole process wasn't that long. So we started at like 10 o'clock, and I left, would you say I left about like 1:30? So possibly like just over 3 hours after. Now, I wasn't formally released from court, but the coroner needed a lunch break or a break where he can come up with like a conclusion. He's supposed to come back to court and present his conclusion. Our legal representative told us that you don't have to stay for it. You can, but you don't have to. But if you don't want to stay, or if you have other prior commitments that you can't stay for, we'll have to let the officer, so the coroner's officer, know, and then he or she would then pass on the message to the coroner. And once the coroner is informed, then we need to hear back from the officer to say whether we can go or not. But for my reason for sort of leaving early was that because today is my birthday. I did say that I don't have any prior commitments, but because it's my birthday, I wouldn't mind leaving early if I could. I hate playing this birthday card. I'm just being honest, it is my birthday. I wasn't lying. And luckily the coroner was really nice, and he said that yes, I can be released, and the outcome of it will be relayed to me and my boss on a later day by email. So currently we're still waiting to hear back. The assuring thing is that the coroner actually said, so he sort of gave us like a little verbal preview before he left the court to then do his written summary or conclusion. He said that it sounds like the death was a natural death, and he wasn't suspicious of any problems with the care that we had given the patient leading up to his death. So those are all very reassuring things to know. But I guess we'll have the final results in the coming days, and I will keep you guys updated. So yeah, and I'd just like say special thank you to my hubby for being there for me. He's busy on his phone right now. Yeah, just special thanks to him. He sat through the whole thing. It must have been really boring for him, but I'm just glad that he was there being my support. And we just ended the day with lots and lots of food, starting with souffle pancakes. Then we went to a nice restaurant to celebrate my birthday. After the whole experience of going to court, I just want to share with you guys some of the tips that I got from this experience. Oh, and a quick disclaimer, this is a mixture of tips that I got from the legal team and also from my personal experience after going to court. So before the court day, our legal team advised us to dress smart, listen to the questions before answering, and try not to anticipate the questions. We need to try and keep our answers clear and succinct and make sure our voice is projected nicely into the microphone. We also need to ensure all our answers match our statements that we previously submitted, because the coroner would have read all of it before the court day. If you want, you can actually attend the coroner's court for a different case before your own case. That way you would know the process of the day a bit better and you would know what to expect. But I personally didn't do this. I didn't really have the time to, but our legal rep was really good and he was guiding us through the whole process on the day. Lastly, I just want to emphasize that just because you're summoned to court, it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong or that you're in trouble. Looking back, I spent so much time and energy just worrying about how I would be criticized, but the whole questioning process was very objective and I was not once blamed for the patient's death. Overall, I wouldn't say this is something I want to experience again because it was quite stressful, but it's something that's unavoidable in our career path, I guess. So this was my whole experience of being a witness in a coroner's inquest. I hope that was helpful in providing a slight insight into what to expect in court. And if you're ever summoned to court, I wish you all the best and I'm sure you'll be fine. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.